Good afternoon and welcome to the last of our Lunch with the League series. Before we start, I'd like to make a few announcements, so please remain muted throughout the session. There will be a Q&A session after we hear from our speaker today, so if you have any questions for him, please put them into the chat directed to Betsy Patterson. Finally, I'd like to advise you that this session is being recorded, and the link to the recording of each of the sessions will be available on our League website. The link to the website is on the chat. At this time, I'd like to introduce the president of our local league, Kathy Morgan, who will make a few remarks. Kathy?
Thank you, Carol. The League of Women Voters was founded in 1920, 6 months before the ratification of the 19th Amendment granting women their right to vote nationwide. It was established and continues today as a nonpartisan, grassroots political organization to encourage voters to become informed and active participants in our representative democracy. The League engages in many activities to ensure that our democracy works, such as registering voters, educating them about the issues and the candidates, getting out the vote, as well as supporting fair and transparent elections. The goal of this Lunch and Learn series is to inform citizens about the different facets of our local government. We hope that you will find it very informative. Now, I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Dr. Cesar Morales. Dr. Morales is currently the Ventura County Superintendent of Schools. He has also served as District Superintendent in the Oxnard School District. He previously held leadership roles in Lawndale and Lenox School Districts in Los Angeles County. Dr. Morales leads VCOE, which stands for the Ventura County Office of Education, which employs nearly 1,000 people and provides teacher training and administrative support services to all the county's 20 school districts. VCOE also operates schools for students with special needs, for at-promise students, and provides career education for students countywide. Dr. Morales received his Doctor of Education degree from UCLA and his master's and bachelor's degree from Loyola Marymount University. He serves on a number of local nonprofit boards, including the First 5 Ventura County Commission and Assemblymember Jackie Irwin's Education Advisory Committee. He is also a past president of the California Association of Latino Superintendents and Administrators. He was the recipient of the El Concilio Latino Leadership Award and was named a leader to learn from by Education Week magazine. His areas of expertise include all aspects of public school management. He has gained recognition locally and statewide for his leadership on critical issues. Welcome, Dr. Morales, and thank you for being here. Now, at Dr. Morales' request, we are going to start with a short video that he provided.
What exactly does a county office of education do, and how does its role differ from your local school district? Let's take a look. California's public education system consists of 3 levels: state, county, and local. Regulations, funding, and fundamental policy are established at the state level, while the day-to-day education of students is the responsibility of individual school districts at the local level. County offices of education, or COEs, represent another level, providing an important support system for school districts in their counties and serving as a liaison with the state. While COEs do not directly oversee or govern individual school districts, they do provide valuable support and services that are essential to local school district operations. For example, each of California's 58 county offices of education share a common function to ensure school districts in their counties are fiscally accountable and solvent. They also approve school district local control accountability plans, or LCAPs, provide professional development opportunities, and assist districts with academic performance initiatives. Most COEs also directly serve their county's most vulnerable student populations, including students who have been expelled from their home district, students who are incarcerated or are on probation, homeless and foster youth, students with severe special needs, and early learners through a network of state-funded preschools. A multitude of additional supports are offered by many county offices, some of which include hosting student events and competitions, student enrichment, residential outdoor education programs, and much more. Each county office of education is overseen by a county superintendent of schools. In all but 5 counties, the superintendent is a publicly elected official who runs the COE. Each county also has an elected County Board of Education, whose responsibilities include approving charter schools and hearing inter-district transfer and expulsion appeals. The County Board also approves the COE budget and local control accountability plan, but has no authority over individual school districts. For parents and students, your local school district is the most relevant agency for policies and decisions impacting your child's education. A school district's governance team is composed of the school district administration and a locally elected board of trustees. Local school boards have broad power to approve and create budgets, hire district superintendents, develop and select curricula aligned with the state's standards, and set district-level policies, including those related to facilities as well as health and safety. In California, our system is designed to have the decisions that most affect your child be made at the local level, where you can have your voice heard.
Oh, thank you for providing us with that video. I think it gave a great overview of the statewide system of education here in California. We do have some questions for you, and I know that it was already answered in the video. The question, are you appointed or elected? You are elected, but could you please tell us what your term length is? What is the length of your term?
It's a 4-year term.
4-year term. Okay, thank you. And are there any particular qualifications that you have to run for this position?
You have to have a valid California Administrative Services credential. The eligibility requirements for that is for you to have done the required number of service years as a teacher or counselor to be eligible to satisfy the requirements to get the admin credential as well.
I see. And for this position that you currently hold, what part of your formal education do you think is most used to perform your job function? Administrative parts, or what part do you find you use the most often?
Well, I think having the need to have as global a lens as possible and everything that I do, I think the process that you go through when you get a doctorate degree or like mine, doctorate in education, I focused a lot on organizational leadership. But I think it's approaching and being able to analyze issues and see what the root cause of a problem is, and then embarking on the appropriate research to unpack the many layers of said problem before determining what a proper recommendation is and how it could be applied to our county or a particular district, knowing that one size doesn't fit all, and every school district has different circumstances, as do different counties, depending on who it is that we're serving.
Good, thank you. To whom do you report? Do you report to a board? Do you report to the state? Who do you report to, Dr. Morales?
Well, as an elected official, the ultimate folks that I report to are the voters, the voters here in Ventura County. I do not report to the County Board of Education trustees since I am an elected officer, an elected official. I do, as a body, the County Office of Education, and as one of the 58 county superintendents, I am in many cases, for many issues, an intermediary between the state, the California Department of Ed, and a local school district or charter management organization.
Okay, thank you. So you mentioned the County Board of Education trustees. How many of them are there? How many trustees are there? And are they elected? And do they have staggered terms?
Yes, they're elected. I have 5 county of education board trustees, and they're also on staggered 4-year terms, and they're community members. Some of the community members that are trustees presently were prior school board members, and some were not. And it's active people in the community that are concerned and interested in the well-being of students and in supporting being a cheerleader for public education. The county of education board trustees perhaps play a more active role in influencing state policy as it relates to education. They have goals related to advocacy for the benefit of our entire Ventura County ecosystem of public education. And they're active participants in the School Boards Association. They help me bring the school board trustee community together. You know, they do a great job on advocacy in Sacramento as well as Washington, D.C.
Do they receive any training from or guidance from your office when they first elected?
Yes. Yeah, I meet with them regularly. We have regularly scheduled board meetings, and also in between, we may meet one-on-one for a variety of issues as they come up. Also, like school board trustees, school district trustees, they also are a part of the California School Boards Association and also part of a sister organization named the CCBE, which is for county school board trustees specifically. In both cases, Ventura County Office of Education for over the last 10 years has historically had representation from our county trustees in both the CSBA school district trustee organization, as well as CCBE, the county trustee leadership organization. So I'd like to give some kudos and a shout out to our current trustees that have done an exemplary job with leadership locally and statewide.
Very good. Thank you for that. What is the main function of your office? And then the follow-up question would be, how many people are under your leadership?
Well, the main function of the County Office of Education since its inception has been fiscal oversight and monitoring of all school districts and public school entities. In addition to that, at its earliest stages, and we still continue to do so, we have a mechanism where we assist in the teacher credentialing process, as well as the administrative credential authorization process. We work in concert with the Commission on Teacher Credentialing statewide, as well as universities. When candidates complete their teaching credential requirements at the university, the next phase is that they work with the County Office of Education to finalize their induction and pre-service component to their credentials. So we manage that not only for our county public schools, but also for the charter community locally and statewide. We have a robust educator support office. Also worthy of note, we manage the back end financial system that all of our school districts use. We process payroll for 25,000 plus employees. In addition to that, we also are the infrastructure to the majority of the county public school system in regards to IT, information technology support. We're the intermediary to the statewide K-12 connectivity broadband program that is filtered through us that goes to the school districts. With as many devices as our school districts use, and especially during the pandemic, where all students transitioned to one-to-one devices, definitely the existing system was stressed, and many of our school districts have service and connectivity through VCOE, but also have separate contracts and agreements with their local telco companies in order for there to not be a backlog of overwhelming their network. But we do that as well as provide support services through professional development, special student services support. We support homeless, foster, not in the video, and in our community, we also support migrant education services, students that are move from place to place and are children of farm workers. And with being in a heavy ag community, we have a lot of services for those families. There's a lot of compliance and support related activity related to school districts, local control accountability plans. And that's where they match their actions with their financial resources that are at their disposal based on their base funding as well as supplemental and concentration. We're there to be guides on the side and support their local efforts. And we're there to support in the event that they need assistance in any of the component of their plan development, or when they submit, we're able to flag areas that need addressing. And in every case, I think more so than not, we're there to support and enhance the efforts of the local school districts, and always working in concert and in respect to the local governance process that every school district has with its own board members, of which the trustees have the jurisdiction over their school districts. So we're there to help them all be successful.
Well, gosh, that is a very multifaceted, what do I want to say? You have a lot of different roles, it sounds. And I suspect that most of the public do not understand the difference between what you're responsible for as the Ventura County Office of Education and what the local school districts are responsible for, and the services that your group provides. Do you think that that is correct? I mean, do you think that there's a lot of misconceptions about that?
Yeah, I think when we're running at our best, a county office of education could be invisible in the whole process, because a lot of our back-end services are not seen. It's more of an interaction with the school districts. The misconceptions the public also often have is if there's an issue or that they're having locally at a school district level, and they want to quote unquote raise it up the flagpole. I may get emails, phone calls, or visits with an issue of a school district, and we are there to support. I am here to serve the public, myself and my staff, and we often redirect folks back to the school district and help the community member, parent, as well as the district in that manner to find resolution. Or I'm also a resource where I can explain if they want another party to explain the actual ed code or state guidelines associated with something. You know, if there's a concern with how a school district is implementing a state law, you know, or if they're getting a request from a community member to change the scope of how they implement state law, you know, sometimes they refer to me so that I can be somewhat of a neutral party, but represent and interpret what the state guidelines actually are. You know, but that tends to be the misconception. Are you their bosses? Can you make them do something? Well, you know, formally they submit their budgets, their first interim, their second interim budgets, and it's an opportunity for me and my staff to review their budgets and make comments and recommendations that would be in the best interest of their district to remain fiscally solvent. But it's done in a way so that locally the leadership and their governing body takes action, because we want there to be local control maintained, and we want long-term fiscal solvency and stability for every school district.
What would you say the main challenges of your office are?
I think the main challenges are being able to promote fiscal solvency and in a time where Ventura County, the student population in public schools is the second most rapidly declining population in the state, only behind Los Angeles County. With a student population of 128,000, we are destined to be at to drop over 20,000 students by 2031. So that creates not only a lessened student population, but changes the fabric and the core of all of our school districts, because many of them, they have differing trends, but with the exception of perhaps 3 districts, everyone has a significant decline in student enrollment over the last 5 years, and it's continuing to go down, which means that every school district is going to be battling with right-sizing their organization. How many employees will they continue to have? What are the decisions we're going to make? Are we going to reduce employees in relation to a ratio of how many students we have? Are we going to take a board action locally to try to maintain as many employees as we can? And at the same time, are we going to cut back on programming for our students in an effort to do so? And ultimately, based on the information we presently have at hand, ultimately, school districts will not be able to maintain both. They're going to have to prudently right-size an organization so they can balance out the number of staffing that they have, as well as maintaining quality programming. Because ultimately, we have to look through the lens of what is the best in order to deliver the student experience that's most optimal. And we recognize that in our county, we have some very key employers in the area. We have our Navy, that's, I believe, the #1 employer in our county, county government offices, as well as the public school education system as a whole is a real big employer in our county. So we need students, we need a big workforce. I mentioned we process payroll for 25,000 folks that work in public education, both at the school site level and in the back end offices at the district and county office. And I'd like as many of them to be able to stay and afford to live here. So there's many challenges, but I believe right now it's in relation to the economic picture of our county, housing insecurities that are manifested in high rent prices. The mean rent price is over $2,300. The mean home price is over $800,000 in our county. And of the folks that work in our system, I want them to have living wages and to be very well compensated, not only because of their value to the education system, but because of the need for them in order to be able to afford to live in our beautiful county. We have, I'm sorry, I have the timer of the light here in this room. But those are some of the major challenges. We also are. I like to say that I lead with love, respect, and humanity at its core. And I recognize that right now, over the last 5 to 6 years, our national, statewide, and sometimes local narrative has included a lot of political polarity that has created stress in our communities. And I'd like to be able to bring everybody to the table and work together, because I feel that our county has a shot at doing things. We have about 800,000 residents, and we're small enough to be able to collaborate and leverage each other's energy if we all band together for the sake of our community.
Thank you. Certainly you have to take a lot of different factors into consideration for your long-term planning, and you have, sounds like, a lot of hard choices that might have to be made in terms of adjusting to the declining student enrollment. So I don't envy you that. So good luck with all that. Speaking of budget and budget kind of related things, how is your department funded? Is it tax-based, federal funding? What is your total budget for that matter?
All of the above. We're funded with county taxes, state taxes, federal funding. We have contracted services where there's a billing mechanism for some of the services that we offer that school districts can contract to do work, whether it's for professional development, staffing support, or our entire VCOE schools operation of schools. We run our Corton community schools, which are our schools for the expelled youth, as well as our schools with incarcerated youth. That is funded partially by the state. But we also have schools, the VCOE schools program, that serve moderate to severe disability students, as well as students that may have conduct disorder or emotional disturbance needs. All of those services are set up in a contracted format with our school districts that are billed at the end of the year for the services of the students they referred to us. We in our county, we leverage each other extremely well with pooled services and support. That's a very big positive for us in relation to other counties in the state.
So when you speak of pooled services and support, are you referring to things like, for instance, in special education services, not each district having their own deaf and hard of hearing support staff, but maybe one for the county, one for the visually handicapped and things of that nature, or by pooled?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. For example, you brought up deaf and hard of hearing services. Students that have cochlear implants are served in the Oxnard School District. Students that are in need of American Sign Language have been served at Ventura Unified, as well as CME Unified has had programs. And in those cases, based on the regional plan in our the VCOE SELPA, districts are able to refer students to those districts that have those programs, because it is cost prohibitive for every school district to have a program, say, for example, for deaf and hard of hearing, just because the numbers don't result in being able to afford all of those services. Visually impaired students have been served in many cases by the Oxnard School District as well, for the entire county. And those are just some of the services. I know have facilities in some of our VCOE schools that actually have medical therapy units inside them. So we try to have facilities that have medical therapy units in every part of the county, so that it facilitates for students that are medically fragile, that they receive their academic program, but also facilitate families being able to get their medical support in the same facility, which makes managing life a lot easier. And again, that's something that we in our county pride ourselves with in relation to the other 58 counties in the state.
So by medical therapy, you're not referring to school-based clinics, you're referring to providing daily services to students, medical services to students who need them during the school day. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And
So
you mentioned our operating budget. We have presently an operating budget of 140 million. We have LCFF funding of that 20 to 21 million is our LCFF money, and our LCAP plan represents actions and services for our court and community schools. And when I say court and community, it's our alternative education program for our expelled youth, as well as our incarcerated youth. And now the state, since it's closing some of its state facilities, the juvenile facility, which is named Providence in our county, that's run in conjunction with the Ventura County Probation Department, we're being tasked to serve 18 to 25-year-olds. So in addition to for probation as well as VCOE, we will now VCOE will now be in charge of the post-secondary and education program for the 18 to 25-year-olds.
my goodness, I thought it stopped at 21, so up to 25 years of age for.
Yeah, now it'll be up to 25 years, and we're going to help coordinate the education program, whether it's a post-secondary career education, or be the liaisons for them to apply to the community college services that are brought in to the juvenile facility. The disconnect sometimes is we serve students with special needs up until the age of 22. So now there's two ages there that we juggle.
I guess you have to be a juggler for this then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you just answered one of my questions about what kind of services you provide. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that? Because I think you gave a pretty complete answer on the different services VCOE and your department provide.
Yeah, just a quick overview. You know, our departments are set up under my direction. We have financial services, we have human resources, we have education services, student services, and we are fortunate that in our County Office of Education, we house our SELPA, which is the Special Education Collaborative, of which has a separate board made of all the school district superintendents that also meet monthly, and that oversees the implementation of the SELPA regional plan for the benefit of all of the special education students in our county. But within that, I think it's important to note that work is not done independently by all of our departments. One of the things that I do in my office, and I also task my senior leadership, is we're also facilitators and conveners of the other leaders in the county from other agencies. We work very well with Ventura County government, with Ventura County Public Health, Behavior Health, Health and Human Services, as an example, to facilitate and deploy services where they're needed, as reflected by the new student needs in our county. As a result, it's very big on our radar that we presently have close to 7,500 homeless students in our county. We have over 500 foster youth. We have over 2,000 migrant farm workers. We're also students of migrant farm workers. We're also setting up an action plan to identify more migrant education students of students from families that speak indigenous languages. So we have to do special outreach efforts for that. So it's important that, I pride myself with trying to promote an interconnectedness across agencies in the county, even those that are outside of VCOE, because it's my belief that all government agencies should work collaboratively together and efficiently together so that we're not duplicating efforts or spending money twice for the same thing. So I want to let you know that I meet at least monthly with all the heads of agencies and county office government in order to try to streamline and create partnerships for the benefit of our students and community.
I'm sure all the taxpayers appreciate you trying to make sure that we're not paying for the same thing twice. Thank you.
Yeah, one of the things that was amazing, and I will give kudos to our entire county family. During the pandemic, when schools went from in-person to virtual, within 2 weeks, our students and our teachers and staff, transitioned to virtual learning within 2 weeks. But within 3 weeks, we vaccinated the willing education and support staff in our county, and with a partnership with Public Health, Health and Human Services, and private hospitals in our area. And we were the model, an exemplar for the whole state of California, which resulted in a visit from our governor, letting us know that we were just that, and our model was replicated throughout the state and other counties.
Well, kudos for that. That's wonderful. Very good. I know you've talked about the oversight that VCOE has over individual school districts. It sounds like it's mostly budget related and providing support and professional development and things of that nature. Is there anything else that would be included in that?
For the most part, that's the primary focus, and it's ongoing. It's not just if a district is in need. This is an ongoing function. We review and respond to every school district when they submit their first interim budget in December. Then once again in the spring. That's the second interim, and we review and comment on it. That's an opportunity for our business office experts to provide detailed recommendations to a school board. All of the letters that come from me and my staff related as comments on their budget are submitted as formal correspondence to a school board. So all of those letters are public. And so it's an opportunity for the public to see the response of VCOE to their budget and their ongoing fiscal health. Even in an ongoing manner, if we were to make a recommendation in a formal correspondence letter, it's up to the local board to direct staff to implement those recommendations. If recommendations are not followed for an ongoing basis, then the severity of the recommendations and the letters get more stern, and it's highlighted that it will impact the certification of their budget. A budget is considered positive when there is no anomalies or need for course correction. And they're fiscally solvent for their current year plus an additional 2. So they're fine for 3 years. And there's designations that are qualified when you start to have concerns in what's called the out years, in the following 2 years. So you can be qualified status and have concerns in the out years. And negative certification means you can no longer fulfill your budget obligations, your payroll, or your vendor obligations for existing contracts. So that when a district falls in negative certification, then I have under Ed Code and state law an opportunity to intervene by providing fiscal experts, fiscal advisors, and also to go into an era of stay and rescind, where I have an opportunity, should a board take action on something that's a big expenditure that is contrary to the health of a school district, I have an opportunity to rescind that action and return it back to them, kind of like in a checks and balance format, and request that they take different action. But always, I think the underpinning is we're trying to promote local control and that they take action and help themselves. You know, in the event that a district does not take action or repeated action, there is a mechanism down the road where they would be eligible for a state loan, but at that point that results in receivership to the state, and then the state designates the county office superintendent the role of overseeing the district's day-to-day operations, and the local governing board loses its authority. That is something that I never want to occur in our county, and myself and my staff will provide support along the way so that doesn't occur to any district, because I want to maintain local control and authority at the local school board level and provide all the support along the way. You know, whenever districts do need support, we make sure to offer that along the way. And we also work in conjunction with other state agencies such as FCMAT, the Fiscal Crisis Assistant Management Team, which is a statewide agency that promotes fiscal solvency throughout state agencies in education. I happen to be a chair of the FCMAT board presently right now. So we pride ourselves with offering support and recovery recommendations so that inevitable actions are avoided at all times, because fiscal solvency is extremely important to the vitality of school districts.
Absolutely. I do have a few more questions, but I just want to remind the attendees, if you have a question for Dr. Morales, please put them in the chat directed to Betsy Patterson, and we'll open it up to those questions as soon as we finish up with the questions we have prepared. Thank you for that complete answer, Dr. Morales. So I'm understanding, and we all know that Ohio Unified School District has some financial issues going on right now. So my understanding from what you said was, even though your office may have notified them and given information, it's up to their own school board to make the necessary actions. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And right now they are under a negative certification, and I have stay and rescind authority. I want to let you know that they're in a mode of recovery, and they're doing well right now, as they're they finalized their third interim budget. It was an additional requirement. Districts have to submit two budgets, a first interim and a second interim, but if you're in a negative certification, you are required to submit a third, just to give an additional set of eyes, and we're watching them closely. Their current team is collaborating very well with VCOE, as well as consultants that I've had their financial experts there working with them. So I want the community to know that they're on their way to a road of recovery.
That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. I'm sure all the Ojai residents are too. What trends do you foresee in education moving forward? Do you foresee some trends?
Well, we see the trend of declining enrollment and the impact that causes. But we're also seeing less credentials issued by the Commission on Teacher Credentialing in the state for teachers and administrators over the last 2 years. So while we're declining in enrollment and we need less positions, less people are going into the field. And that's a concern. We're working with our university partners to promote the field of education. We definitely need teachers of all types, elementary teachers, a special need of transitional K and kindergarten early childhood teachers. There's additional requirements that the state has made in those areas, and we definitely need folks. We need still long-standing in the state, and Ventura County is a prime example. We need bilingual teachers. And in the high school, we've always needed at the secondary level, middle school and high school, the shortage of math and science teachers, as well as special education teachers. So right now we're in transition. We're fine now. Right now in our county, we've been able to fill positions. I think we had one of the best fill rates of the state as measured by what vacancies exist across the county in September after the school year starts. We've done well, but we're also retiring teachers at a greater number as well. So I'm keeping a close eye on that. So workforce in education is a trend we have to continuously monitor. And we're doing our part working with our university presidents as well as community college chancellor to try to strengthen the education ecosystem as best as we can. I participate as the present chair of the P20 Council that not only has the 2 university presidents and chancellor, but also business leaders as well as Ventura County government leaders as part of that group to try to promote and how we can best strengthen the P20 continuum of education.
Thank you. I want to be mindful of the time because I know you have an important graduation to get to. So at this point, I thank you very much for all the information you've provided us. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Betsy Patterson, and she will let us know if there's any questions from the attendee. But thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And I hope to see you in the future. So now on to Betsy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was an amazing presentation, Dr. Morales, and we really appreciate it. We do have a few questions, some of which you've already covered a bit of it. I guess one of the questions is, do you have, does the school district or the county school board of education have any strategies for trying to improve the declining school enrollments? Some of the school enrollments may be due to the fact that they're just not more families moving into the county, but some of them also may be due to parents taking their children out of the public school system and entering them into alternative systems, whether it's homeschooling or private education or Catholic schools, whatever. Do you have any ideas of how we can go about decreasing our public school enrollment?
How we can go about increasing it?
Increasing, yeah, and preventing the decreasing. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think school districts are doing the best they can, building up their brand of what it is that their school districts and individual schools have to offer. And I think we all need to collectively do that as a community. I believe everyone's working hard to best serve our students. We partnered during the pandemic with private schools by deploying PPE and other supplies that the state sent. I want the entire education ecosystem to thrive. I know whether it's at the baseball field or soccer field, our students are interacting with one another, whether they're in the public system or the private system. You know, everyone has a personal choice of where they send their children. I'd like to remind everyone that the public school education choice offers robust services of academic and wraparound services that meet the students' academic and social emotional needs. If you choose a different setting, that I respect that choice of a family, but I encourage everyone to give their local schools a chance, tour them, and see if their schools can offer what you need. If choices are made for religious reasons because you want that component part of your education continuum, that's a personal choice, and that's a good choice that a family's making for them. If it is for political circumstances, again, you know, as a citizen of this country, we respect certain choices that people make for themselves. But I'd love to believe that one of our federal and state government's greatest investment is the public education system. And I'd love for folks to give us a chance because they're going to find that we have robust services and experiences for the students. And I encourage parents to get involved because I'd venture to say that we have great experience for parents that want to get involved to interact with the youth and be role models because we definitely need to promote a civic-minded group of people that are going to be able to take care of our county and all of us one day.
Excellent. One of the other questions, and just you could probably clarify this, is one question was, has the county lost funds due to charter schools? And it's my understanding that charter schools are part of the public education system.
Yeah, public charter schools are part of the public education system. You know, where that misconception comes from is they are publicly funded, but if a charter school resides in a particular school district and they had an exodus of students from a school district to that charter school, while it's funded the same way, that does impact the school district in the same way of a student moving to another state, to a private school. It moves off of their roles and they have less ADA, which means less funding and apportionment that would go to them.
Great. There was a question also, and you mentioned this, your concern about the decline in certification of teachers and administrators throughout the state. And that there is a concern about the fact that we're lacking in teachers across the board in a variety of different levels and areas of expertise. So I'm going to assume that you are concerned about that. And I'm just wondering, are there ways that we can advocate to our legislature to either increase the funding so that the teachers are paid a reasonable salary, or are there other methods that you can recommend for us as a political organization to advocate for our teachers and administrators in public schools?
Thank you for the opportunity to respond to this one. This one's close and near to my heart. The state is presently proposing continued funding for teacher residency programs where Universities and school districts can partner with one another to promote, say as an example, existing paraprofessionals, teacher assistants to enter the field of education and incentivize by reduced fees with their tuition, tuition coverage, or additional stipends for life expenses as they're finalizing their certification programs. These are universities, both CSUCI and CalU, have engaged in teacher residency programs with a variety of districts. And I think that's very healthy, and I wish that continues to be expanded upon. You touch on teacher salaries. I think, starting salaries for a teacher out of college is probably in the mid 50,000s. That isn't enough to pay. Many of them have student loans. And if you factor in an apartment and a vehicle and food expenses, that doesn't cover it or barely does. And this is for our prized professionals in our community. I think definitely the last few years, some of the state budget has allowed our districts to give raises that are higher than normal. But it came at a time when we're trying to fight off 17 to 19% inflation. So were the raises eaten up by the impact of inflation? That's also a topic that's widely debated right now. There is an assembly bill out there that is intended on raising the wages of teachers, and I think more analysis and work needs to be done in that area, because definitely we do need to, as a system, raise the wages of educators so that it becomes an attractive profession. Definitely it has many benefits to it, but in California, the affordability of housing is a big issue that we as a society have to tackle.
Right. Thank you. At this point, I think I'm going to stop the questions. I just want to say thank you so much for taking this time to speak with us and educate us. And we really appreciate you being here. And if you have anything else you would like to add before I turn it over to Patty Chan, please say so.
I just want to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity, and I welcome an invitation in the future if should there be another issue or topics that you would like to discuss. And thank you on behalf of Ventura County for you encouraging our youth to become registered voters and engaged in the democratic process. Thank you for that.
Great. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Patty Chan for some closing remarks.
Again, thank you, Dr. Morales, for our committee for this very interesting educational session. And I'd like to thank all of our audience for joining us for our Lunch and Learn with the League Spring 2023. Our sessions are recorded and are available on our websites. So please share this information with your friends. This now concludes our session, and have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.